Hello my dear students, welcome back to the 10th standard English classes. Today we are going to discuss about the fifth part in a lesson, A Hero. My dear student, before going to start today's class, let us glance what we had discussed in the last class. My dear children, in the fourth part of lesson, we were discussing about some important aspects. Let us glance. So when the Swami was pressurized by his father to sleep in Swami's father's office room, but Swami uses many tricks. Before he uses many tricks, when he went to sleep beside his granny, he did not ready to listen any story of grandmother. He immediately went to sleep. And then after his father came and pulled over the blanket, Swami's father finally ordered him to sleep, and there was no any option from that to sleep in the office room. Then Swami realized that it was a direct command. So he could not find any way. He followed his father towards the office room. Before he entered into the office room of his father, he uses many tricks. Swami requested Swami's father to sleep from the first of the next month. He also requested to leave the door open. He also requested to switch on the light in the hall. But Swami's father did not allow all these tricks. But as per his many requisition, Swami's father finally allowed for the only one trick, that was Swami's father asked him to leave the door open with a condition. What was the condition? In the night, when he slept in the office room, in the night, he should not roll up his bed and go to near granny. This is the condition of Swami's father. And these were the important aspects that we discussed in the last class. My dear student, in this class, we are going to discuss about fifth part from the 11th paragraph. Let us, I will read the lesson. Listen carefully. Dear student, I will read the lesson. Listen carefully and put your finger where I read. I will start from 10th paragraph. After my reading, I hope that every student would list out some new words as in the previous classes. Swami felt cut off from humanity. He was pained and angry. He did not like the strain of cruelty he saw in his father's nature. He hated the newspaper for printing the tiger story. He wished that the tiger had not spared the boy, who did not appear to be a boy after all, but a monster. As the night advanced and the silence in the house deepened, his heart beat faster. He remembered all the stories of devils and ghosts he had heard in his life. How often his chum-mani had seen the devil in the banyan tree at his street end. And what about poor Muniswami's father, who spat out blood because the devil near the river's edge slapped his cheek when he was returning home late one night, and so on. And on his thoughts continued. He was faint with fear. A ray of light from the street lamp strayed in and cast shadows on the wall. Though the stillness, all kinds of noises reached his ear, and ticking of clock, rustles of trees, snoring sounds, and some vague night insects humming. He covered himself so completely that he could hardly breathe. Every moment he expected that the devils to come up to carry him away. There was the instance of his old friends in the fourth class who suddenly disappeared and was said to have been carried off by a ghost to Siam or Nepal. Swami hurriedly got up and spread his bed under the bench and crouched there. It seemed to be a much safer place, more compact and reassuring. He shut his eyes tight and encased himself in the blanket once again, and unknown to himself fell asleep, and in sleep was racked with nightmares. A tiger was chasing him, his feet stuck to the ground. He desperately tried to escape, but his feet would not move. The tiger was at his back, and he could hear its claws scratch the sound, scratch, scratch, and then a loud thud. Swami tried to open his eyes, but his eyelids would not open, and nightmares continued. It threatened to continue forever. Swami groaned in despair. With a desperate effort, he opened his eyes. He put his hand out to feel his granny's presence at his side, as was his habit, but he only touched the wooden leg of the bench, and his lonely state came back to him. He sweated with fright, and now what was this rustling? He moved to the edge of the bench and stared into the darkness. Something was moving down. He lay gazing at it in horror. His end had come. He realized that the devil would presently pull him out and tear him. And so, why should he wait? As it came nearer, he crawled out from under the bench, hugged it with all his might, and used his teeth on it like a mortal weapon. Okay, dear student, I hope that you understood the lesson in my model reading, and I asked you before that to list out some new words. I have also listed out some new words here. See here, spare. Some of the new words are here. Spare, not harm someone. Crouch, lower the body close to the ground. Reassuring, to make someone feel calmer. Encased, covered himself closely. Then rack, make someone suffer great mental pain. Nightmare, a frightening dream. Then desperately do something with no hope. And then stare, look steadily. Crawled out. ಅದೇ ಅಂಬೆಗಾಲಿಡು in Kannada, ಅಂಬೆಗಾಲಿಡು. Mortal weapon, deadly weapon. See, these are the new words, dear students, as I listed out. Let us go through the explanation. Swami felt cut off from humanity. Dear student, humanity, why should we take this word here? What is the opposite of the word humanity? As I wrote here, humanity, the opposite of the word humanity, cruelty. Yes. Here Swami's father, when Swami's father asked Swami to sleep alone in his office room, but Swami thought in another way. How did he think? Swami's father has lost some humanity, and Swami found cruelty in the nature of Swami's father. He was pained and angry. He felt very pained, and he became very angry against not only Swami's father but also the newspaper incident as well as village lad. He did not like the strain of cruelty he saw in his father's nature. So since Swami's father asked Swami to sleep alone in his office room, since Swami intended to develop some courageous qualities, since Swami's father intended Swami to cultivate some good courageous qualities, but Swami did not accept these things. He thought he was pressurizing him and he was pushing him. Then he found only cruel nature there. He hated the newspaper for printing the title story. Since Swami's father asking him to sleep alone, then it was nothing but only one incident made him to do like that. It is none other than the newspaper incident. That is why Swami started to hate the newspaper incident as well as the tiger story and boy. He wished that the tiger had not spared the boy. See here, spared. What is mean by spared? Spare, not harm someone. Swami wished that the tiger would not harm the boy. Means the tiger would kill the boy. Swami wished that the tiger would kill the boy. If the tiger killed the boy, then the boy would appear in the form of a monster or devil. Then that story would not appear in the newspaper. So he thought and he wished like that Swami, who did not appear to be a boy after all, but a monster. Then a boy who faced the tiger while he was returning, he would not appear like a boy, but he would appear like a ghost. He thought like that. Swami wished that the boy would be killed by the tiger and he would be appeared as ghost in the newspaper. So he wished like that. As the night advanced and the silence in the house deepened, his heart beat faster. Swami decided to sleep in the office room of his father. Then the night advanced, the night is going there. His heart beating very fast and it was beating louder. He remembered all the stories of devil and ghost he had heard in his life. Dear student, whenever we are very alone in night or in our any relative houses or in any unknown places, we feel very fear because the place would be very new to us. So just like that, Swami, when he slept, when he was about to sleep in the office room, still since he is alone in the office room, he remembered all the ghost stories, all the devil stories which he had heard in his school hours. How often Chumani had seen the devil in the banyan tree at the street end. So Chumani, one of the friends of Swami, he remembered all the stories. He remembered Chumani's story, how he had seen the devil in the street end. So these are the story he is remembering now. And what about the poor Muniswami's father? Muniswami is also one of the friends of Swami, and there was an incident happened there. Muniswami's father, who spilled out blood because the devil near the river's head slapped his cheek when he was returning home late one night. See, Muniswami's father, how did Muniswami's father face a tiger? See, once when he was returning from the place, then the devil would slap on his cheek and split out the blood. See, these are the incident he was remembering all those things. He was and so on his thoughts continued. Just such a kind of stories continued in his mind. He was faint with fear. Swami became nervous and he felt very fear. A ray of light from the street lamp strayed in and cast shadows on the wall. See, in the room, since he is alone, the door is open already with a condition. The light from the street light was coming inside the room and shadow can be seen on the wall in the room. Through the stillness, all kinds of noises reached his ears. Because it is midnight, he could hear all the sounds from the outside of the room, especially from the road. See, what kind of sounds can be seen there? That ticking of the clock. We can observe these things. The ticking sound of the clock, tick, tick, tick in the middle of the night. Rustles of the trees. We can also hear rustles of the trees. Snoring sounds. Some people are in a deep sleep. They are snoring loudly. We can also hear the sound here. And some way night insects humming. Some small insects in the night, they were humming. See, these were the sounds reaching to Swami's ear. He covered himself so completely. He covered his blanket completely to sleep, but not reached. He covered himself so completely that he could hardly breathe. See how he covered completely. Even he could feel very hard to take breath. Then every moment he expected the devil to come up to carry him away. See, every moment Swami expected that the devil would come near him and carry him to somewhere else. See, he was thinking like that. There was the instance of his old friends in the fourth classes who suddenly disappeared and was said to have been carried off by a ghost to Siam or Nepal. There was also instances of his friends. See what were the instances? What were the examples? There were some examples that one of his friend from the fourth standard was said to be that he was caught by the devil and took away to somewhere places like Siam or Nepal. See, these were the experiences. These were the experiences what Swami got when he was in the office room. Swami hurriedly got up and spread his bed under the bench. See, when he remembered all the ghost stories what he had heard in his early life, then Swami opened his eyes. He opened the blanket and eyes. Then he decided to spread his bed under the bench and crouched there and settled there under the bench. It seemed to be a much safer place. Swami thought that under the bench was the best place to sleep there. More compact. It was more compact there and reassuring. What is meant by reassuring? You can see that reassuring means to make someone feel calmer. Swami thought that under the bench was a reassuring place and it was very calm place in the office room. He shut his eyes tight and encased himself in the blanket. He tried to shut his eyes and encased under the blanket once again and unknown to himself fell asleep. Without knowing to him, he fell asleep. He went to the sleep. And in the sleep was racked with nightmare. The student racked. What is meant by rack? Rack. Make someone suffer great mental pain. Even he could not sleep properly in the night because the complete night was racked by nightmare. Nightmare means a frightening dream. A frightening dream which come in the night. A tiger was chasing him in the nightmare, in the dream. See what happened? A tiger was chasing him in the dream. A tiger was chasing him. His feet stuck to the ground. His feet stuck to the ground. There was no support. He desperately tried to escape, but his feet would not move. Since his feet stuck to the ground, he desperately tried to escape. Desperately means what is meant by desperately? Do something with no hope. He tried to escape, but it was useless to him. Then the tiger was at his back. It is in the dream. The tiger was chasing him in the back, and he could hear its claws. He could only hear the sound of scratch by the help of claws of the tiger. Scratch, scratch. He could only hear the sound of scratch, scratch, and then a loud thud. Then later on he could hear loud sound. Swami tried to open his eyes. He tried to open his eyes, but his eyelid would not open the eyes. He tried to open the eyes, but his eyelids did not support to open his eyes. Then the nightmares continued throughout the night. It threatened to continue forever. It created fear to Swami forever. Swami groaned in despair. Swami felt very bad in the despair in the night. With a desperate effort, he opened his eyes. Finally, he opened his eyes with effort. He put his hand out to feel his granny's presence as it was his habit. See, as we discussed in the early classes, it was a habit of Swami sleeping beside his granny in the passage. See, when he opens his eyes, when he awakes, he puts his hands surrounding to feel whether his granny or mother there beside him. But there was no. But also, with some effort, Swami opened his eyes and he come out from the under the bench. Then he puts his hand to feel his granny's presence. But he did not feel the granny's presence. He only felt the wooden legs. Then he touched only wooden legs of the bench. And his lonely state came back to him. Now he came to know that there was only one. He was alone in the office room. He sweated with fright. With a fear, he sweated out. He felt very bad about that. And now, what was that rustling? Then he heard some sound of rustling. He moved to the edge of the bench. He moved to the edge of the bench and stared into the darkness. Stare. What is meant by stare, my dear student? Stare means look steadily. He looked steadily towards the place where the sound comes from. Then, and now what was the rustling? He moved to the edge of the bench and stared into the darkness. He suspected that something was coming towards him. That is why he stared towards the place. Something was moving down. Something was moving down. Someone was going down from the place in the darkness. He lay gazing at it in horror. He looked in a horror way. His end had come. Now, since he was very feared, he thought that it was the end of his lifetime. Then he realized that the devil would presently pull him out. Swami now realized that as his friends felt, he realized that the devil would come to him and pull him away, pull him out and tear him. The devil would come to him and kill him up. So he felt very pain. And so why should he wait? He thought himself. So before that, why should he wait for that? Before coming the moving creature towards him, he decided to go to the moving creature. As it came nearer, he crawled out from under the bench. As it was coming nearer, he was also crawled out from the under the bench, hugged the moving creature with using of all his effort and might, energy, and used his teeth on it like a mortal weapon. So he hugged the moving creature tightly and he bit the moving creature by using his mortal weapon. My dear student, so these are the important thing what Swami felt under the bench. My dear student, very important two questions can be seen here. How did Swami feel when he slept in the office room? The second one is, how did Swami feel when he slept under the bench? And who were the friends of Swami mentioned in the textbook? What were their experiences about the ghost? So these are the important questions will be asked for your examination. Dear students, these are some opposite words or antonyms which can be seen in the textbook. Open, close, presence, absence, down, up, near, far, like, dislike, mortal, immortal, remember, forget, appear, disappear, humanity, cruelty. So these are the opposite words which will be asked in the examination for only 1 mark. Then these are the verbs. V1 present, V2 past and V3 past participle as we have been discussed from the first classes. Feel in present, it would be changed as felt in the past. Then in the past participle, felt. Cut. Do, did, done. See, saw, seen. Appear, appeared, appeared. Slap, slapped, slapped. Get, got. Seem, seemed, seemed. Rack, racked, racked. Try, tried. Move, moved. Open, opened. Moved. So these are the verbs, dear students. Always verbal mistakes will be asked for your examination for 1 marks. Okay, dear students, I hope that you understood today's class. Take down the today's homework. Come to the page number 7. There are some questions. 5 questions are there in shade your responses column. First one, Swami wished that the tiger had not spared the boy, which means choose the right answer. The second one is, as silence deepened in the room, what was Swami reminded of? Third one, which place in the room did Swami think was safe, compact and reassuring? Fourth one, Swami touched dash in the room instead of granny. Fill the blank with appropriate word. Fifth one, Swami saw a moving creature in the room. It was dash. There are 3 options are given. A, a shadow. B, a scorpion. C, a man. Fill in the blank. Dear student, these are the 5 questions which I am going to give you as homework. I hope that you would understood the class, and remaining class will be discussed in the remaining parts will be discussed in the next class. Thank you.